What's up, guys? Welcome back to the garden. Taryn, your host. And then, me, Trent. So what's up? First time on here. I thought I'd shake it up for Taryn and kick it off. So, yeah.
What's up, guys? As you can tell, my voice is still not back to normal, but we're rocking with it. And as you can see, we have a special guest today. This is my boyfriend, Trent. Welcome to the garden.
Appreciate it. Looking forward to it for a while. So it's been interesting just sitting in here for the first time. And yeah, I think it'll be fun.
We've been talking about doing this for months, but, he kind of lives forever away, so it's
A little bit, yeah.
not the most practical thing. But he's here for a few days, so we're knocking it out. Today we just want to kind of give a little background of our relationship and some bumps in the road that we've encountered, and just a little bit how we aim to honor God in our relationship and things that work for us, which means that even though they work for us, doesn't mean that they're going to work for everybody, but just a little take on what we do. So, should we start with how we met?
So it's not like super out of the ordinary for people in, I guess, our generation.
Yeah.
But for, people like my parents and my family, they think it's super wild and abnormal. But we actually met on a Christian dating app called Upward. So we already knew off rip like that I guess like our beliefs aligned to some degree. So of course that was like the first prerequisite, right? I mean,
We didn't hold anything back in either one of our bios, though. We were pretty straightforward. So, like, if you didn't follow those lines, like, we were both of our bios were like that. Like, we were not messing around.
Yeah, I think we both put it up there in the front, like that God was the focus, and if that wasn't what you wanted in the relationship, then it, swipe left or whichever way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we matched on there, messaged a little bit, and then started FaceTiming and kicked it off from there. Did we?
We messaged
Oh.
for like 2 days, and this dude, our last message was sent on November 7th, and then I just never heard from him again, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, like, whatever. And then he just casually, nonchalant, picks back up the conversation on November 24th.
Is this Trent's roast? What is this?
I'm just saying. He picks back up the conversation on November 24th, acts like nothing ever happened, that he didn't just ghost me for however many days. And then, the rest was history. But
well, I came back.
He did
I
come
was,
back.
I don't know, playing golf for 2 months.
Uh,
I have no idea.
2 months?
I really have no idea. Maybe I just wasn't like, focusing on that at the time. I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
Really,
it's pretty crazy.
But
it's also crazy to think about that and then think about now.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy. I feel like we're saying crazy a lot. Should we have like a little crazy counter going?
We've already lost track.
We should though, because we took a little lapse in conversation, but then we picked it up and started FaceTiming, and then we got to know each other a little bit and decided that we liked each other, and thought it was time to ask you out on a date. And so we went out on a date. We met up in Dallas area, and I proceeded to take you on the sketchiest city tour ever. Yeah, that was interesting.
We did. Okay, that's not even how the date started, though.
Oh,
the
that's
date
right.
Started.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
About 2 hours into the drive.
Yeah.
I did not know, but the way of the women was coming upon me.
The way of the women.
And I got to the parking lot that we were meeting at, this like public parking lot, and, realized what had happened. So I see him in my rearview mirror pull into the parking lot. He gets out of his truck. He calls me. I'm watching this. I'm watching him like get out of his truck. I'm watching him call me. And he's like, hey, where you at? And I'm like, I'm right here, but I have a personal emergency that I have to go handle.
I don't even know. I don't even think he gave you that much. I think you said, I'll be right back, and then hung up.
I think I told you I had a personal emergency.
I'm not so sure because I remember like being like, did I have something on my face? Did she not like what I'm wearing? I mean, like, but I called my buddy and I was like, she just took off. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, she left, said she'd be back. And yeah, so I'm just here hanging out. And then I ended up going next door. There was like a steakhouse there. And I was eating like, I don't even know, was it like jalapeno poppers or something I was eating? Or
I have no idea what those things were.
Chicken wrapped in bacon or something? I have no idea. But they were good. I'm not going to lie.
So while he was doing that, I look up the closest like Target or Walmart. Target's 10 minutes away. I was like, okay, perfect. Well, before that, I was like, oh, I just got to go get new pants. But I was like, no, I need everything. So anyway, went to Target. Mind you, I get to the Target parking lot and I'm like, how do I walk in? It's 70 degrees in Dallas that day. Why I brought a jacket, I have no idea. But I had this big brown puffy jacket. So I grabbed it, tied it around my waist. I walk in Target. I'm like, thank God I'm never going to see these people again. So I go through Target, get everything that I need. I go change in the bathroom. And he texted me and he was like, hey, like, no rush. Oh wait, he did text me when I was leaving the parking lot and he was like, hey, are you actually coming back? And I was like,
yeah, I did.
Yes, I am so sorry.
I was about to get what do they call it? When like somebody dishes, like what is that
ghosted?
called?
Catfished?
No, like what is that called?
I don't know.
Like somebody like, oh, stand you up.
That's it. Yeah,
stood
up.
I thought that's what it was.
Got it.
Be. Oh, which would have been first for me, you know.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. So he was like, are you actually coming back? And I was like, yes, I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. He was like, no worries. All good. So I go and then I'm changing in the bathroom. He texts me and he was like, hey, about like how much longer do you think you'll be? He was like, no rush, but I'm going to go next door and like get a snack. So just wanted to, see. And I was like, I'm about to leave right now. I'm like 10 minutes away. Anyway, so then and this is probably the first thing that I noticed about you in this situation. And I was like, I already know that he's a keeper because of his patience. He was just like so patient, so understanding. Like he easily could have just not been in that situation. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what the heck? But he was just so patient and so understanding. And I was super appreciative of that in that moment. And that quality has continued to reign through in so many more scenarios. But anyway, so I get back to the parking lot and I was like, hey, I'm here. And he comes out with his snack. Again, I don't know what it was, bacon wrapped something.
Yeah, our first 5 seconds of meeting each other, we were sharing whatever that was.
Yeah, that's true. But he was like, okay, first things first, like, are you okay? Are you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Never told him what happened.
Yeah, no, I didn't find out till months later?
Yeah.
Was it?
The second date, but the second date was in February.
I don't remember you telling me on the second. I thought it was later than that.
No.
Oh. Anyway, yeah, it was super, I was in the dark and had no idea what was going on.
But he was handling it so well.
Well, on the inside, I was like, what did I do? I was like, or what did she just, go dump somebody in the ditch and then come back? Like, I had no idea what was going on. But my buddy thought it was hilarious, so...
So he was like, nice to meet you. He pulls down his tailgate, pulls out his snack, and he was like, have you eaten? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay, then you need to eat some of this. And so, yeah, first date, 5 minutes into meeting each other, 5 seconds into meeting each other, we were sharing food.
Which was probably a good icebreaker.
That's true.
Yeah.
But again, his patience and his the way he was nurturing already, it was just okay, you need to eat. Are you okay? It was just really sweet. And I was like, okay, I already like this guy. And then we proceeded to go on the sketchiest rest of the date. We did one of those scavenger hunts that you can do in cities and stuff.
I found it online. I didn't look at reviews. Probably should have.
Yeah.
But the weird thing was I bought it initially and then they like I guess I didn't save the number that it gives you, like your confirmation or whatever, like your sign in. So then I ended up having to buy it again. So that was wonky, but
God was trying to tell you don't do it.
So then bought it again. We signed into it, and then we followed it, and it was cool at first, like in a nicer part of Dallas, and then we proceeded to go through what was the roughest part of Dallas.
Yeah.
So we we just kind of made our way through that, and it didn't stop there. It just continued. It didn't never get nice again, actually.
No, it didn't ever get nice again.
Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, it was definitely interesting.
He literally never let me out of his reach the whole time because he was just switching me back and forth from either side of him. Like, he didn't want me on the side facing traffic, but he didn't want me on the side facing, questionable people. So it was just a back and forth. He was just switching me from side to side. Yeah, it was very interesting. About halfway through, he was like, "Yeah, I'm done." I was like, "Mm-hmm."
Yeah, we decided to cut the tour short.
Yeah.
And then where did we go from there?
Topgolf.
Oh yeah, we hit up Topgolf. And then after that,
Dave & Buster's.
Oh yeah, we hit Dave & Buster's. We did a lot, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, we got done Topgolf at 6, and I was like, he had a 6-hour drive back home. I think it was, and I was like, you need to get on the road. Like, you probably need to leave. And he was like, I'm not ready yet. So then we went to Dave & Buster's.
Yeah.
Which then we were sat in Dave & Buster's and chatted for a while. And then we went and played some games. And then said our goodbyes.
Yeah, we kind of heard each other's testimony and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun, so I thought it was a good first date. I don't know what you thought of it, but
I thought it was a good first date. It started out rough, but it ended good.
Yeah, it did start out very rough. And I had nothing planned except for the tour. So after that point, I was just Googling
winging
things
it
to do in Dallas. I was like, top you off it is. And we'd even talked about maybe going golfing, which we still haven't done.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But what else did
I think that was it.
Relationship
so then that was December 27th. December, January, we're our FaceTiming frequencies are picking up. Texting all the time. Knew that we really liked each other. And then you asked me on another date in February. And we went on our second date, February 14th.
Yeah, Valentine's.
Yeah. So romantic.
And it was weird, though, for us because we were so far apart that our second date didn't really feel like a second date. It felt like, we had been dating for a while. You know what I mean? Because we talked every night on FaceTime, which a lot of people tell me, oh, it's not the same. But, I mean, that's all we had. So.
I think how you choose to, what conversations you choose to have, how you're doing your FaceTime, that's what makes the difference. Yeah, people are like, oh, it's not the same. But if we're FaceTiming and, we're still going through, life together, we were still doing things. We couldn't just stop and be on FaceTime every single time. So I would be doing laundry, or he would be, I don't even know, cooking dinner. And so we still had to do life, but also kind of doing it with each other in a way. And then being very intentional with your conversations and not just sitting there in silence, but asking questions and just making sure that you're not wasting that FaceTime, because if that's all you have, then you got to work with it.
Right. I think another thing that kind of helped us in that beginning stage was like you were saying, the intentionality. It's the questions we were asking. We were asking questions about what each other wanted.
Yeah.
And really trying to just learn more about each other and focusing on that rather than just hee ha ha,
Yeah.
which we did, but we did the day-to-day, how was your day kind of thing.
Right.
is mostly focused on like, hey, like what do you want in a relationship kind of
Where
stuff.
do you stand on this? And
yeah.
I think we talked about how many kids we wanted on our first date.
Did we?
Yeah.
We might have.
We did. So we really didn't waste any time into like getting into the nitty-gritty and like the details and asking the hard questions. And I think that that's like very important, especially, so I guess we didn't really give the background.
But yeah, so I'm from Houston area, Alvin, Texas, Hominola, Ryan. Anyway, so I grew up there and then joined the military. So now I'm stationed down in Del Rio. So it's to here, what is it, 9 hours?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a pretty good haul. But we're making it work.
Houston is 7 hours and Del Rio is 9. So
yeah, and then some of the times though, like I'll be in Houston and it makes it easier to drive to Dallas and
it's like a kind of a halfway point for us. It's a little longer for him, but he likes it that way. He doesn't like me driving very long, and so we'll meet in Dallas. And then one time we did meet in, you were driving from Del Rio and we met in Dallas, but it just kind of depends. But yeah. So that's our long distance situation.
Yeah, and do they know that you're in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, like, do they know where you're at? Because I'm like, they know I'm here, but they know where I'm going.
Yeah.
But yeah, long distance hasn't been like hard for us. I don't think it's not been the easiest thing just because you can't see each other every day.
Right.
But I think with us kind of knowing where each other's at and knowing what our focuses are, it made it worth it. You know, having that lapse of each other's company and stuff. I think it just makes it a lot easier whenever you value the other person so much and like the potential that is there.
Yeah. So what did our second date consist of?
Our second date, so you drove down. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's February 14th. So we went out, got us a nice dinner.
Yeah.
And we went and got what was it? The cookie place afterwards. What's that place
Insomnia.
called? Yeah, Insomnia.
Yeah.
So we had a nice little dinner, but they gave me like a little baby cup of lobster bisque. I mean, that thing was like
we went to one of those like fancy which like he made reservations, like he planned it all out. He looked so good, had like dress pants on, a button up, like a jacket. I didn't really realize that we were dressing that nice, or I would have dressed a little bit better, but that's okay.
You looked great.
We already talked about it.
She looked good. Don't let her fool you.
Anyway, so we went to dinner. Dinner was great, but it was one of those like fancy restaurants that you like see on movies and stuff where the portions are that big.
Yeah, no joke. Like the lobster bisque was like my thumb.
There was like this tiny little cup, like a communion cup of lobster bisque.
I couldn't even put my pinky in the little handle. It was like, it looked like they took it off their grandma's like little display shelf, you know, where they got little figures or something. I'm pretty sure that's where they got that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I was not too satisfied with my lobster bisque, but it was good. It was actually really good. Just
it was
small.
Good.
The food wasn't bad except for
our potatoes. They were like au gratin potatoes, which are already hard to cook. So if you're like making a special dinner, not the side dish I would have chose, but that's okay.
I don't know nothing about potatoes like that, so that's all you.
Au gratin potatoes are very hard to cook like thoroughly, and they had like a stack of them on your plate, and they were raw. Like they were not cooked at all. They were hard as a rock.
Yeah, they were cold and hard for sure.
Yeah, they were not it. So I ate the steak and the whatever else was on there.
I don't know what else.
I don't remember. I think it was like a vegetable, some kind of vegetable.
But other than that, I mean, we had a nice dinner, good chats, and then left from there and went and got some cookies and
it was freezing cold.
Yeah, it was pretty cold.
It was so cold.
We walked around a little bit, kind of,
and we walked,
explored, and then we went and got cookies.
We walked a lot in the freezing cold.
Yeah, it was very cold. It had to be like 30, 40 degrees and like blowing a 20-mile-an-hour wind or something.
Yeah,
very cold.
Yeah, there was one time like he took his Carhartt jacket out of the truck, and like I'm wearing that. It was so cold.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we walked around, talked a lot, and then we got insomnia cookies, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that was pretty much all we did.
I think it was before we ate that you gave me my flowers.
No, I thought it was at the end. I thought it was at the end of the date.
No, because I had to sit in my car. Remember, we went back to the car.
Maybe.
We went back to the car at some point, and he had gotten me the most beautiful bouquet of flowers that I've ever seen or gotten in my life. But they had like hydrangeas and lilies and roses and all the things. He knew that I did not like just getting red roses. Me personally, I feel like that's just a little basic. Like you're not really putting much thought into that. But that's just me. And then hydrangeas are my favorite. And it was so sweet because he handed me the bouquet of flowers, and I was just like in awe at first. And then he was like, I even got you hydrangeas and they're your favorite. I was like, oh my, I wasn't even like processing that, but thank you so much. And he was like, I'm sorry, they're not the blue ones. Like, I know you really love those ones. And I was like, I don't even remember telling you that I loved hydrangeas. Like, thank you. But it was so sweet. And then you did the night before, I guess he had got them.
So yeah, I ended up picking them up the night before. It was kind of like a God thing, even though it sounds maybe silly to call this a God thing. But I had drove past this place and saw they were open, but I had like errands to run, and that I had to be there before a certain time. So I went to the errands, and I was on my way back, to base, and then there was a shop open. And it was open past normal hours. They normally close at like 5, and it was almost like 9 p.m. at this point or something. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm just going to go in here. And I went in there, and they just happened to have everything that I was looking for. So that was cool. And they were even super nice, and, were willing to put up with me picking out 5 different things to put together. So that was cool of them. And so I took them back to base. I put them in my cup holder. They fit good. I mean, if you'd have seen it, you'd have thought they weren't going anywhere. When you like strap something down, you're like, that's not going anywhere. That's how it was. So I had them in the cup holder, and I'm going, and I'm driving normal and wasn't taking them, like no speed racer or nothing, the corners. And boom. Flowers go, water goes. I mean, nothing stayed in that vase except hopes and dreams, pretty much. And it was a total mess. So I cleaned them up, and as best I could anyway. I just stuck them back in the vase, really. And then, so I put some water in there, and they were a little dilapidated, from taking a.
But I had texted you. And you texting me, and you were like, I just made a mess in my truck. And I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
And you were like, he took a few minutes to respond. And he was like, I spilled sweet tea. And I was like, oh, that's like tragic, super sticky mess. That's terrible. Come to find out, it was actually the vase of flowers that he had spilled.
I couldn't tell her
right.
I just spilled your flowers. So, I mean, I guess I could have said I just spilled water. That would have been pretty much the same thing. But, it was like a lot of water too. I mean, it was a big vase, like water. It was like a bucket.
Water.
Yeah, water. H2O. But so I put them back in the vase, and they were all half destroyed. And then drove them up there. I think I even spilt them again, maybe. But I had so much stuff in my truck that the Border Patrol checkpoint, they asked me, oh, you're moving to Dallas? Because I told him, he's like, oh, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I'm going to Dallas. He's like, oh, you're moving there? I was like, no, I'm going for just today. But then I was going down to Houston after that, so I had all my stuff. But
the hydrangea was definitely like R.I.P. that one hydrangea because she died. She died that day.
It didn't even make it like at all.
Not really. She was just like.
No. Yikes.
Also had to like carry the vase back home, which I was like, okay, he just drove 6 hours with his vase and he made it work. Like, I'm fine, but it was a little challenging.
I was just holding the thing.
I won't lie.
Time.
But they were already a little smashed, and I didn't want to smash them more. So
yeah,
I was being so careful.
I should have put them in a box or something.
It was fine. It was worth it. They were beautiful. But yeah. So also leading up to that date, I was like, he has to like ask me to be his girlfriend on the next date. Like, that's just, I feel like that's what's going to happen. If that's not what happens, we have to have a talk. Which this is all going through my mind. Like, he didn't know that. But I was like, okay, if he doesn't ask me to be his girlfriend, like, what are we doing?
I didn't know I was under this pressure. I'm glad that I asked, because at the end, I asked her. I was like, you know.
He said, so you want to be my girlfriend or what?
Did I say that?
Yes. Me and Bella still make jokes about it. We're like, or what?
I didn't know I said that, but no, I knew I wanted to date you, though, and yeah, I didn't know I was under that pressure, but I asked, and then apparently I said, or what?
Yeah. He said, do you want to be my girlfriend or what?
But she said, yeah, so that was cool. And then
I said, I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah, you did say that was cute. Apparently I'm not that smooth. I'm an or what kind of guy. So, but I knew I wanted to pursue, more with you. I mean, that's what we're doing, dating for marriage. I mean, you have great qualities, so, past the physical stuff, you're kind, you're very sweet. You're patient with me, that's for sure. You got to put up with me. And my no memory. I can't remember a single thing. I probably couldn't even tell you what I did yesterday. But so she's been awesome, and I knew from super early on, just even in the talking stages, that I wanted to pursue more. So I was really happy when you said thought you never asked. I was like, glad we're on the same page.
The plan was also to like, it was also kind of funny because it reminded me of like a Notebook moment, because he was like, the plan was for him to get deployed in October.
Yeah.
And so he was like, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be really hard. And which, if anybody's watched The Notebook, he says the same thing. And
really?
So
that's weird.
Yeah, I was like, I just kind of smiled when he said that. But yeah, he was like, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be really hard.
For me, actually.
Oh, right. So. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So obviously I said yes, like I was all in, and yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be deployed for sure. And then the last one I was on, it was like almost a year long, so I thought it was going to be about the same. And then luckily I haven't gotten deployed yet, so we've actually been able to spend more time together than we thought we would. Mm-hmm. And so it's been really awesome. Other than that, I mean,
that pretty much wraps up our second date.
Yeah. But circling back a little bit, the whole main reason, for wanting to ask you to be my, girlfriend
or
officially, or what, was just that, I could see that you're a woman of God, and it was obvious, and that was the whole piece, the whole thing, the whole shebang, the whole pie,
I think did we start doing Bible studies together before our second date? I think we did.
We did, yeah. We did.
That was one thing we talked about even before we went on a date in December, is we talked about wanting to read through the whole Bible, and then we talked about wanting to do it together. which kind of gave me a little, because he had mentioned that he was like, we should do it together. And I was like reading through the whole Bible together. Oh, he's already anticipating this, like, this going somewhere. Anyway, so me as a girl, started getting a little giddy.
Before I asked you, though, I was honestly worried about her thinking that it was too soon because it was only our second date. And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, normally that's not like a second date thing. It's like at least a third date
But
thing.
we talked every day for like hours.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like it was too soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whenever I found out, like, you were on the same page, it was a big relief.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to be like, wow, this is early, So that was really a relief. And
so now our date number 3, I guess you want to call that, this is when we're meeting the fam.
Yeah, well, actually, the thing is, I thought it was quick. I thought it was like, wow, she already wants to meet the family. And then she was like, hey, like, I would like for you to come to Oklahoma. And I was like, sure. I was like, oh, that's quick. Normally, like, people wait a long time. Then, you know what I'm saying? Like, to introduce the parents. But so I thought that was really cool because I thought that meant you thought enough of me already to come meet the family. And so I was excited about that. Super nervous also. But
whatever. You did not tell me that at all. I'm like nerved up to come meet his family, and he's like, there's nothing to be nervous about. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. And then he's like, I was super nervous.
So
acting all cool as a cucumber over here.
Well, I gotta play cool. But so the way that it came up for you coming to Houston, I don't even remember how that.
I don't remember how that
Houston.
Happened.
It was
either.
I guess I was gonna be off for a little bit, so I was like, did I take leave? I guess I took leave or something, and then I was like, well, might as well make the most of it. And
well, you took leave for your brother's birthday and then my birthday.
Right.
So our second date was in February. We didn't see each other again until April.
Mm-hmm.
And then his brother's birthday was on April 12th and mine's on the 22nd. So he was like, well, I want to be home for both. So he just took leave to be home for both, which, again, super sweet. But, yeah, so he was home for, like, an extended period of time. And we talked about, like, me wanting to meet his family as well. And so we just kind of, fit it all together.
You had suggested, like, you could drive to Houston. And of course, you know me, I don't like that. But
yeah, he was like, no. I was like, I have to meet your family, so you're going to have to get over it.
Yeah, so you came to Houston, and then it was interesting from there. It started out, what were we doing? We went and had...
So I drove to Houston on a Thursday. Was there Friday, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You were in Oklahoma Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Those 6 days.
Interesting.
We could write a book.
It was very
That could be a whole podcast in itself, but we're going to try to wrap it up we're going to try to tell it as quickly as possible.
So you came down. I'm not really sure. I mean, we were going somewhere. Remember, like, did we go eat dinner first, or what did we do?
Yeah. I got there. I was supposed to get there at like 7 something, and then I hit a lot of traffic coming into Houston, so I didn't get there till like 8.
Mm-hmm.
Got there. I am shaking in my boots. My heart is pounding.
She was very nervous.
The GPS time, whatever, on the dash said 10 minutes. That's when it hit me. Hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, everything was shaking. My heart is pounding. I can't even like speak. Pull into his driveway, and I'm literally like...
She was actually shaking. Like, I gave her a hug, and she was like...
I was shaking profusely.
Yeah, like a beat dog or something. That sounds terrible, but anyway, I mean, that's the best way I could think to describe it, was she was shaking like a leaf.
He gave me a hug, and he was like, oh my gosh, like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm so nervous. He was like, my mom and brother aren't even here right now. Like, you're okay. We're going to go get something to eat. And I was like, oh okay.
Yeah, so we went and got what was supposed to be the best in the world.
What he claimed to be the best in the world, pizza. It was
is
mid.
No, it is the best.
It was mid, and his mom has my back on this.
Yeah. Well, okay. The jury's still out, but um,
Your mom has my back on this, and that's all that matters.
I think it's incredible. But I can understand why it's not everybody's favorite. But me and my cousin Keenan, it's number one.
Anyway, so then we came back from dinner, back to the house. I felt a little better walking into the house, like with him with me.
And with nobody there.
No, they were there.
Oh, you're talking when we got done eating.
Yeah, when we got back after eating, they were there.
And then said our greetings and stuff, and then
played a game.
Oh yeah,
we played a couple
like,
games.
Some kind of board games and stuff. Like what was it, like
we played
Pizza Topple,
and then
like some guy with his finger up in the air, and you balance a pizza, and you try to put toppings on there.
Oh no, it wasn't Candy Lane. It was Life. Sorry.
Oh, Life. Yeah. Life.
Because we were all like, this is gonna be long, and I was like, oh, it shouldn't be that bad. But Nico really wanted to play it. Your mom was like, deuces.
We played Life, and then what was the next day? We probably went and saw my grandparents, and then the next day.
You forgot to take her ice.
I did, yeah.
Even though I was told only reminded
like 5 times.
Yeah.
That memory coming in. But so we met the grandparents and played some
Everything's
cards.
Still going good.
Yeah. We played some cards. We lost pretty terribly.
Yeah, we did.
We had like -400 in spades, so that was cool. And then the next day
This is when everything hits the fan.
We went, and I knew, like, it started out with the lunch because we were gonna go have lunch with my dad and my dad's side of the family. By the way, my parents are separated, so I have people here and there that we gotta meet, and so we were gonna go have lunch with my dad's side of the family, and who can make it, kind of thing. So, and we were like, let's go get crawfish. I had my whole mood, like my whole belly was ready for crawfish. I even called my buddy. I was like, we're eating crawfish, come on. And we got there and like, we don't serve crawfish till, was it 1 or something?
I don't even know.
And we were there for like an early lunch. It was like 10.
I think it was like 3, like they didn't serve it till like evening or something like that.
Yeah. And right then I was like, this day is sour, just ruined my whole day. But so we had lunch, and then
but I think it was even before that, because you asked me if I ever got my oil changed before I came to Houston, and I was like, no. And I was supposed to, but I just literally did not have time.
Yeah, you had a lot going on.
And so I drove to Houston anyway. He was like, did you get your oil changed? And I was like, no. And he was like, okay, well, when we get back from lunch, we're going to do that, and then we'll get you on the road. He's like, it should only take like 10, 15 minutes tops.
Yeah, and it did at first.
But so then that was the scenario. And then we went to lunch, and then we got back. We had to go get stuff for the oil change.
Yeah, I was trying to get her out of there like early enough, because she had a 7-hour drive.
Yeah, we were trying to get me out of there by like 3 at the latest, I think it was. So we go get the stuff for the oil change. Everything's going great, done, perfect. Go drive around the block, make sure it's good. Go drive around the block. He's like, it's a little overfilled. I'm just going to drain a little bit. And, we'll be good.
Then the drain plug decided to flatten a whatchamacallit. What is that thing? A thread. It decided to flatten a thread, or it jumped one. Not sure. But so then I proceeded to try to get it to go in, and it wasn't going in, and I had oil going everywhere, all over me.
He was almost done, I thought. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go in and say bye to your mom and your brother. I'll be right back out. Go in, say bye. In this time frame, I go in and say bye. I come back out. There's oil everywhere. He's covered in oil. And I'm like, oh,
well, because all I had was my thumb. There wasn't any other way, like, to stop the oil.
But he has he has it all over his head, and he's bald. I know you can't see that right now because he has a hat on, but he's bald, and his head is just covered in oil. And I was like, oh, I was like, you got a little oil on your head, and he just looks at me and he was like, Taryn, now is not the time. And I was like, got it.
So yeah, I had no way to like stop the oil, and then I think that was the same like pan that your old oil was in, so I couldn't just like dump it straight into that. So I had to go. So I don't know if I got up or what, or somehow or another, I got the bucket and was able to make it happen, get the oil out of there, and then so we just left it sit there dry while we kind of decided what we should do.
So the first thing first was we were gonna go get a new bolt.
Well, so what we had talked about, I told her like in the beginning, I was like, so really with this, you've only got a couple of options. Like you either you get an oversized bolt and try to like rethread, and then if not, like just do a whole new lower pan. And since it's not my car, I wanted to do it right. I want to do a whole new lower pan. And we go to O'Reilly's and every other auto part and every dealership in Houston kind of thing, calling everybody, and nobody had a lower oil pan. And it was what?
Because it was the oil.
Oh, Easter. Easter was that Sunday. Yeah.
It was the oil. It was This is a Saturday, mind you. It's afternoon. Everything closes early on Saturday, anyway. But also it was the oil pan that was like stripped, not just the bolt. Because we had went to O'Reilly's and got a different bolt.
Yeah.
Because we thought it was just the bolt, but it was not. It was the actual oil pan. So then we were just gonna get a new oil pan, but then everybody was closed or didn't have any in stock or whatever.
Yeah, so the flattened thread was actually on the pan rather than on the bolt. So yeah, I do remember that now, that we tried to get the same bolt and that wasn't any good. So then it was like, okay, it's either rethread or get a new lower pan.
But it just kept getting later and later. Yeah. And Easter was the next morning.
And we were calling everywhere too.
And I still had a 7-hour drive home.
Yeah. So we couldn't get a lower oil pan. We could have got the oversized bolt, but I was like, I don't want to like do that. I'd rather do it right. And so then we
kind of had like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if? And then we were like, wait, that's actually a pretty good idea.
So yeah, I was like, I think I joked or like I came up with it though. I was like, oh, like what if we just like rented a trailer and did it? And then I was like, you know what? Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it was like the best solution because we had other solutions, and then for some reason I just decided to do this, and but
not really to like get me home in time.
What do you mean?
Like nothing would have gotten me home in time.
Yeah, like for Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt bad, like you missing, your stuff. So because of me, oopsie doopsie, and so anyway, we landed on we're just gonna rent a trailer, and mind you, there's no way to get the car on the trailer because there's like not enough people to help, and no oil in the car, so you can't drive it up there. So we had to call a family friend, and he brought his truck.
It's like 11 o'clock at this point.
Yeah, it was late. And he hooked up his truck. We took like a tow strap, put it on her car, pulled it up on the trailer, and then we took off.
Yeah.
Drove all the way to Oklahoma.
Back up a little bit because you were also dealing with some like family stuff, and so he's like having to take phone calls and like answer text messages in between all of this. And so like one of our trips to O'Reilly, you had just gotten off the phone with, I don't even know,
my brother,
your brother or your dad or something, and then he was like, so would now be a good time to tell you that I love you? And I was like, I guess now's as good as time as ever.
Yeah.
Which also was another thing where I was like, I've been doing these like vlogs ever since we like started talking, really. And so I was like, I already know, because there was almost a few like slip ups on FaceTime. Where he would go to say it, like where we were about to hang up or something, and he almost said it, like, I'll talk to you later. But anyway, so I was like, I already knew, like, we're going to tell each other that we loved each other the next time we saw each other. And sure enough, in the midst of all this chaos, he's like, so would now be a good time for that?
I thought it was funny.
It was pretty funny.
But
yeah, we loaded the car and then we drove all through the night, all 7 hours,
yes, ma'am,
to Oklahoma so that I could make Easter with my family. And he unfortunately had to miss Easter with his family, which sucked, but
it really wasn't like, I mean, yeah, it wasn't ideal, but it just so happened that my brother ended up getting sick, so we weren't really going to be doing anything anyway.
Yeah.
But not to, like,
minimize it, but
yeah, but so I mean, it kind of just made sense a little bit. And
by the time we got to Oklahoma, though, we literally had enough time to, like, take showers and change, and then we had to go to church. So we're running on 0 sleep. I think I took, like, maybe a little nap in the truck, but that was it. And then after church, we had a cookout to go to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then so we're, like, running on fumes at this point. And so then the next day, our goal was, on Monday, we're going to go to dealerships. We're going to see if we can find an oil pan so we can get my car fixed. Yeah,
we're going to do it right. And it wasn't going to be, a future thing. But yeah, we went to the get together, ate some food. The food was great, by the way. I mean, I enjoyed what I ate. The food did not enjoy me. Sounds strange, but not sure what happened.
We don't even know what happened, but we're pretty confident he endured a case of food poisoning, and it struck him first thing the next day.
Yeah, early in the morning.
Early in the morning.
Yeah.
So we hit the road early in the morning, and we got about 45 minutes down the road.
Well, for me, it started before that.
Yeah, it did. I forgot. Yeah. You were going to the bathroom before that.
Yeah.
Then we got about 45 minutes down the road, and we had to stop again. We got something to eat, and then
what did we have? Like a chicken salad sandwich or something? It was good, by the way. What is it, Coffee House? Or
The Coffee Cup.
Yeah, that place is awesome.
My favorite chicken salad sandwich ever.
It's very good.
Very
good.
But anyway, then we drove to the dealership, and then he was like,
to tear it up in there.
He was like, you're going to have to talk to the guy because I have to go to the bathroom. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Got it. Love that. So I had to, be all Miss Independent Woman while he's in the bathroom. And then he came out of the bathroom. He is unwell.
Unwell.
And then we decided, so the oil pan, get this, they didn't have it in stock, but they could ship it from Dallas.
Yeah, we drove past Dallas. Figure that.
So then we
were talked about going to Dallas, but I think your dad was like, there's no sense in you driving all the way out there. So
we're like, it's not practical. So what we landed on was we were just going to rethread it. So we go to O'Reilly's, we get the different bolts, like the stuff we need to rethread it, all the things. After O'Reilly's, he has to go to the bathroom again. So we pull into a Walmart. While he goes to the bathroom, I'm like, okay, at this point, you need something to, like, help you. So I go get some medicine, get some water. And then him being the man that he is, there is a guy on the side of the road needing gas, and he's so unwell. But he stopped and he was like, hey, like, what do you need? And they were like, if we could get some gas and, like, some Cokes. And we were like, okay, well, we're about to go into Walmart, so we'll get you some Cokes and we'll get you some gas when we come back out. So while he was in the bathroom, I went and got Cokes and I got medicine and I got him some water. And then we came back out. We gave the Cokes to the guy. And then the gas pumps were like broken.
Yeah,
so we just ended
weird.
up giving him money.
Yeah, the gas pump didn't work, which was weird, and
it was super weird.
there was like so many people too at the fuel station,
and everybody was like,
yeah, I mean it was the most packed,
yeah,
probably gas station in town, and it's the only one that didn't work, probably.
yeah, probably. So we're heading home, and then we're not far down the road, and he was like, where is the closest bathroom? So I was like, okay, like right up here. We stopped in Poto at Choctaw. So he goes inside, and he's in there for a while. A while as in like I took a little nap.
Took a nap?
I did take a nap. I fell asleep.
I didn't know that. That's funny.
And apparently he went in there and like, yeah, threw up and everything. So
it's kind of funny how it happened though. I got
was
out of
it?
Well, I mean it wasn't funny at the time, but I didn't know I had to throw up. I mean I felt a little like wheezy, like a little, what is it, queasy, same thing. But anyway, so I felt a little queasy, but I didn't think I had to like actually throw up. But as soon as like my feet hit the ground, got out of the truck, I felt it. Like I knew it was gonna happen. And I'm walking, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to like let it out right here because like it's in public, and that's just not really sightly. So I was like, I'm just gonna make it to the bathroom. Well, as soon as I opened the doors of that place, it hit me even harder. I started feeling it, like it was in, it was here, and so I didn't even like see a restroom sign, nothing. I just, you know what? I'm just gonna head to the back, and I head to the back, and luckily enough, that was where it was. Got in there, and it's already coming out. Like I'm holding it back, and the dam is busting. So anyway, there was a trash can right in the corner as soon as you walked in, so I'm letting it go in there, and then I don't know at what point, but I had a crowd form. There was like 5, 6 guys around me. Not around me. They were at quite a distance. Some guys just randomly throwing up in there. You don't want to get too close, but they thought I probably had the first case of whatever the zombies have. I have no idea. They were looking at me like I had 3 heads. I turned around, and there's just these people standing there, and they're like just looking at me bewildered. And I was like, oh, sorry about that, guys. And they're like, no, like you're good. I was like, yeah, like I guess I ate something bad, or I don't know. And the guy's like, oh, looks like you're in for a bad day. I was like, well, it can't be worse than the last 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then we left there.
Then we made it home.
Yeah.
We did make it home. And then my mom had lunch by the time we got home. We went up there. You didn't eat. You ended up going out the back door and puking again. At first it was just using the bathroom, and now puking was involved. So, that was super fun. And then, so what we had come to the conclusion of, we were like, okay, we won't even worry about the car today. We just have to return the U-Haul trailer. And we'll just get that done. We'll get that done. And then you can just like rest the rest of the day. Just chill, and we'll work on the car tomorrow. So we go to return the U-Haul.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of the directions take us to the middle of nowhere. Literally all there are is cows and a dilapidated shed in the pasture.
Yeah, cow pasture, and that was it.
And you had to get out and throw up there.
Well, first I had to like go down, turn around,
back into someone's driveway. Yeah.
Yeah, turn around, then it was on from there.
Yeah, and that's also when I started hysterically laughing.
Were you?
Yes, that was the time. I was laughing so hard that I was like literally crying. I felt so bad because he's so sick. And all I could do at that point was just laugh because that's just how the day was going. And now we didn't know where to return this U-Haul trailer, so we're trying to like get in contact with U-Haul and figure out the proper directions. Mm-hmm. Laughing hysterically. I just think I had a little mental breakdown. But anyway, so then They give us new directions, which leads us to the middle of a bridge.
The lady on the phone, by the way, thought that was the funniest thing she ever heard. That we were at a cow pasture looking for U-Haul.
Yeah.
She had a good laugh on that one.
She did. It was not the time. But then led us to the middle of a bridge. Then you tried to go to the bathroom in the woods. Then we eventually finally made it to the U-Haul place. We got in contact with the owner. Pull up to this place, and it is
interesting. It's not the Ritz. They had a 4x6 like U-Haul sign. Looks like you had a yard sale sign kind of stuck out there.
Yeah.
But you turn in there, and not to make this, I don't want to talk like bad about their situation, but they had, junk is really, I guess what you'd call it, is stacked 10-foot high on both sides of the drive and stuff in the driveway, and it did not look like a U-Haul place. I'll tell you that. I kind of thought we were getting had.
Apparently, they let anyone run a U-Haul location. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, so then we had to proceed to
and we have a trailer, and he has like a big truck, and there was no room to like back up, to maneuver, nothing.
No, not even a little bit. And it had just hard rained.
Yeah.
So there might have been a spot where I could have actually pulled up and backed in
but
there.
It probably wasn't smart given that it was muddy. So
the lady was telling us that I was going to sink. So we just, we're going to take the word of the lady that lives there. But so
we eventually got it dropped off. Leave there, pulls over to throw up again. Then we make it to town, stop at a gas station, gets him some Pedialyte, Gatorade. Gets home. I was like, okay, take a shower, like change. You're gross. You've been throwing up in those clothes. Like, just take a shower, get refreshed, and you're going to bed. So he did that. Got him in bed. Gave him some nausea medicine. Gave him all the things. Got him set. He went to bed. I came and checked on him. I don't know what time that was, but I think like 5:30 or something. Mm-hmm. I came and checked on him again at like 9:30. And I like felt his head, and I immediately knew that he had a fever, and I was like, crap. So I take his temperature. I was like, maybe I'm wrong. I take his temperature. I was like, don't freak out. I'm about to stick this thing in your ear. Which was the thermometer.
By the way.
Stuck the thermometer in his ear, took the temperature. I don't even remember. It was like 100 and something.
It's like, by the way, I'm sticking something in your ear.
Sorry.
Like
Anyway, you handled it like a champ.
I just thought it was funny.
His temperature was like over 100. So I'm like laying hands on him. I'm praying over him. I'm like, no, like he's waking up in the morning feeling himself again. Like, I rebuke this. This needs to be gone. Whatever sicknesses this is, you're done. So then the next morning you were feeling good. You felt like you had just thrown up and, gone to the bathroom all day the day before, but
yeah, you felt good. I felt pretty good.
That next day was also my birthday, so.
Yeah, I don't remember if I was like sick at all.
No.
So I guess all I really needed was a good nap.
Yeah. Sleep is the best medicine.
Yeah, for sure. And then, the single oversized, got that in there. I thought
so
I had it in there.
Go to fixing the car. We first thing that morning, get up. He's feeling good, so we start working on the car.
And at the same time, your house is turned upside down. So
yeah. And at that same time, my new floors were getting put in, so my house is like destroyed. Super fun. A lot going on. But we started fixing the car at like 9 a.m. and I think we ended fixing the car at like 2 p.m. And by that time, he had to leave to head back to Del Rio because he had to be at work the next day.
We had time for lunch and stuff.
Yeah, we did get to eat lunch. Got no time to actually like meet my family and like talk to them because he was sick and we were working on the car. So that was our third date. That was meet the family weekend. We made it through. Still laughing, smiling, liking each other.
Yeah.
That's a plus. And then we saw each other in May. We met in Dallas, in Fort Worth, and we didn't have any. Oh, we did have a hiccup. I had a hiccup on the way to Fort Worth to meet him. I got a flat.
Oh, that's right. You did. And she was not happy with that flat either. I'll tell you that.
Would you be?
No. You just really weren't happy with it.
It was first thing that morning. I'm only like an hour into my drive. It's like a 3.5 hour drive. So I still had 2.5 hours left to go. And my tire light comes on. Fortunately, I'm like going through a town. We're not in the middle of nowhere. My tire light comes on. I check it and it's at like 25. So I pull off. I really had thought about like risking it. I'm so glad I didn't, because I pulled off and it started dropping rapidly. Before I knew it, it was at 15 and then just, kept going down. So I ended up, I don't know if I called you or my dad first, one of you. I think I called you. No, I called my dad first and I was like, listen, here's what's going on. What do I do? So my dad walked me through it. He was like, call AAA. They'll come put on your donut. Then go to the nearest Walmart, get a tire. It's all going to be good. But I was like so stressed and overwhelmed at the time. It's first thing in the morning because we were supposed to meet by noon. So 3.5 hours to meet by noon. I don't even know what time I left, but it was in the morning and I was not ready to be dealing with this yet. So then I called you and I was like, hey.
By the way, I'm going to be a little late.
I was like, so I got a flat.
Yeah. But, you got through it. You got the tire changed, and then we just met up a little late, and
I was being like, we were talking on the phone, and I was being very like quiet, and I had started crying at one point, and he was like, I was like, I'm just stressed. And he was like, well, you have nothing to be stressed about. I don't understand why you're stressed. He was not saying the most like encouraging. He was trying to be helpful. His heart was in the right place. The words just were not, and they were not the most helpful at the time. But I feel like I did really good. I did not react. I was just like, yep. At one point in time, he was like, have you eaten today? Because I think you need to. And I was like, I don't even remember. I had to come back, but I didn't tell you that comeback. I told you later. I think it was like, I don't even know what it was.
I don't remember, but
you were like, you need to stop and get something. I was like, I'm gonna stop and get you a knuckle sandwich is what I'm gonna do.
Oh, you might have said something like that.
I didn't say that on the phone. I said it like later.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't say anything about his comments. It was just like, oh, you have nothing to be stressed about. I don't understand why you're stressed, and maybe you need to stop and get something to eat. Cause
my thought was like, more of trying to say that your situation could get a lot worse and wanting to encourage you and
I understood. I understood where he was coming from, and his heart was in the right place. It was just not helping in the moment.
Understandably.
But I got to Walmart, got my new tires put on, and all was well. Got back on the road, actually surprisingly fast. I was kind of impressed.
The only one there.
Yeah, I pulled into Walmart. There was nobody in any of the 4 pull-ins, so got in and out pretty quick, and then got there, and then we went to eat. And I told you, I was like, hey, I appreciate how you were trying to help, but it was not the most encouraging.
I really appreciate that, though, about you, is like whenever like something does happen like between us, like we have a misunderstanding or like a miscommunication, or there's like something that I do that you don't like the way you tell me is very loving, and it actually makes me want to try to do better. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate that. But yeah, you're very sweet about it, and I understood where you're coming from. So
I think what was like, it was helpful to not like react in the moment, because if I would have reacted to what he was saying and had something like smart to say back, then he probably would have reacted the same way, and then like it just wouldn't have ended good. And so I just kind of took what he was saying, and then later, like when I was calm, when we were in like a good place, we were good, we were happy because we were with each other now, and we just kind of like laughed about it, and I was like, hey, like that was not the most helpful way to say that. And he was like, yeah, I can see that now. And I kind of knew that when I said that, and we just had a very civil conversation about it. And I think that's like so important. It's just kind of think before you speak. When you find yourself in like stressful situations, it can be really easy to just react. But it's really important not to. Just for, you know, respect of each other, and also your relationship, and handling it with the most care and love as possible.
which is kind of goes hand in hand with our communication, like between each other, being long distance. I think that's just one of the things we've been able to really cultivate and work on is our communication. I think we're good about telling each other kind of what's going on and where we're at mentally.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a good thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely been like a fruit of our long distance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to do long distance well, for it to be successful, you have to communicate. You literally have to, or it's just not gonna work. And that's in any relationship. But we really get to practice it with the fact that we don't get to see each other all the time, and so making sure that it's not that we're still building our relationship, and we're still including each other, and like letting each other know what's going on in our lives. Hey, this happened today. Whatever. Little mad about it, upset, whatever. Um, hey, I didn't wake up feeling the best. Whatever it is, just like letting each other know what's going on. And so the other person knows, like, hey, okay, I need to be a little more mindful today of whatever. But yeah, it's just communication is super important in any relationship, but we definitely get our fair share of practice in on that. And we talk a lot, like every single day we talk for hours on end. And then anytime he's like driving back to Houston or to Del Rio, we're always on the phone. So that's like 6-9 hours. We stay on the phone for most of it. Just talking about a life and goals and plans and where we stand with things. And so, like we had said earlier in the beginning, we've got a lot of those like hard conversations. Not necessarily like out of the way, but we've had them already. Because we just
we think that it's like, I mean, we just talked about how it's like important, to each other. Is like, we thought it was important to have those discussions earlier rather than later, or if we have different viewpoints on something, not wait until that comes up.
Yeah.
Rather talk about it now. That way it doesn't become maybe a conflict down the road. Because I mean, some things aren't negotiable.
Yep.
For some people, that's how many kids you want, or like with us, like our main non-negotiable is you love God.
Yeah.
And the second, I guess, would be just who you are as a person, but that doesn't make sense in this at all.
I think our first non-negotiable was like making sure that God is your number one priority, and Him being the center of our relationship. Sure. Because if there's no God in this relationship, there's no relationship. And if we're not living this relationship to honor Him, then there is no relationship. And so that was our first and foremost foundation, was that God will be honored in this relationship, or there will be no relationship. And so that means in so many areas. Most nights we call each other at the end of the day, and I mean, we're already talking anyway, but we pray with each other every night. do Bible studies together frequently. We try to do once a week. It doesn't always work out like that because of schedules and stuff. But waiting until marriage.
That was big for me from the get-go. And
that was one of those things that was literally in his bio on the dating app. So
I want to make sure everybody knew.
You're right. Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. This is what we're not doing. So just those things that were our number one foundation. And if these are not your priority as well, then we have nothing else to talk about. And so we got past those. And so then we've gotten to other things. We've talked about our debt. We've talked about how we want to raise kids, what marriage looks like, how we want to do holidays with the fam. We've talked about.
I think those are big too, though. Like, especially doing the holidays when, your family's all the way in Oklahoma and mine's all the way in Houston.
Right. So, we've covered a lot of bases, but this will not. You'll come on the podcast again, and we're gonna do another one where we kind of share, where he gets to talk about his testimony and his relationship with God and how he got to the point that he's at. But I know that this episode is already pretty long, so we're gonna wrap it up. I don't want to look at the time. There is a lot that has to be cut out because of my coughing and bathroom breaks and all the things. So, with that being said, I hope that you got some entertainment out of this. I hope that maybe you, picked up on some things. This won't be the last time that he comes on. Like I said, we'll do another one about his testimony, and then I'm sure we'll do lots more in the future. So, thank you so much for coming on to the garden. And I love you guys, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. You know the drill. And we will see you guys next week.
Later.
Bye.